I'm going to show you, I think, one of the um, things that I was really surprised about back, um, and I think it was in two, 2019. Okay, so there's microplastics. So the atmospheric transport, their thought that in this was that basically the rain was now putting things down. Okay. And there's been more and more remote areas of the globe. And there was a big study done in China, there was a big study done in Turkey, things like that, all over the world. The the rain is actually raining plastic.
Mhm.
So, I'd like you to think about, share your thoughts, but just for the sake of it, I want everyone to introduce themselves and just to say what they are doing now, right? What is the top thing that you're offering or that you're doing? Because I know some of us have changed what we're doing. So, who wants to start? Just jump in and then pass it on.
I can jump in. All right. Terry Raman, Holistic Gut Health Coach. And I have been working on creating a workshop with another coach who talks about worth, your self-worth. And my 8 pillars really talk about self-love because self-love practices include taking care of yourself, self-care. So we're going to be doing a workshop together in May, couple of them, the same workshop, a couple times in May coming up. So I'll be putting that information out there and then inviting people to a 6-week coaching program that combines the self-worth information with the self-care part or the self-love part. So we're doing that. And then in May, starting the sugar-free challenge again, but just upon request, because I have somebody who's like, are you still doing that sugar-free challenge? And I'm like, I certainly can. So I have that coming up May 1st. So that'll be on Zoom. And I haven't done that on Zoom for a while. So that'll be good to get people interested in that again.
If you want to come to the store, it's fine. But you know what I really need you for?
What?
And I guess I'm hearing some background. So I will go off
No,
to
sorry.
Cheryl. Go
No.
ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Cheryl, yeah, sorry. Go.
You ready? Hi, Cheryl Boone with Wellness Project Headquarters. I'm working with women to help them understand, and especially older women. I don't want to really put an age, but 45 and older, that we don't have to live in pain, inflammation, and chronic pain. That doesn't mean because we're getting older we have to be in pain. There's ways. I'm the detox person to help people learn to eat better, educate them about food and how we get toxins out of our body once they're in. How about Alexi?
Okay, my name is Alexi Bracy. I'm a cancer victor, resilience. Oh, wait a minute, let me start again. I'm a cancer victor, resilience mentor, and speaker. And so I work with midlife entrepreneurs who have been recently diagnosed with cancer, showing them resilient skills to help them heal physically, mentally, and spiritually. So as a certified environmental health home inspector, I used to go around to homes and tell people where all the toxins were, from the cleaning products to the toiletries to EMFs to whatever. And so, for Earth Day, it's really important people don't think. They drink their coffee from Starbucks in plastic lined cups with a plastic lid, and they don't take the lid off. You're drinking plastics. And then when you decide that you don't want any more of that coffee, what do? That coffee now is laden with plastics. You just throw it into the earth. So really give that some thought. So focus is on Cancer Warrior. Cancer is an opening, it's a new beginning, it's not the end. And very much involved in the environment because we just do things without even thinking about. Just even as an example, something else is the plastic straws that you get your beverages in. Plastic, especially if it's in heat, you're drinking the plastic. So really be aware of little plastic things that people just totally forget. That's it.
How about Patrice?
Right, I'm Patrice Porter, also known as the Gardening Grandma, and I love to open that world of gardening to folks, especially to the kids. And I believe like every child should have gardening, growing their own food. That should be a part of their education. And to help, excuse me, to help that, I have my Got Dirt Gardening for Kids program. I also have like the Roots to Learning academic lessons within gardening. This lets kids have a more well-rounded education and smoothly integrate the math, science, and literacy lessons into learning that skill of gardening. And so they can learn those academic skills in a real life situation. I'm also about to launch the new Grow with the Gardening Grandma Club. I've got some workshops coming up and it'll lead into the Grow with Gardening Grandma Club. So that's new on the horizon. And for like plastic, it's just avoiding all the packaging as much as you can. It's like, to me, it's ridiculous when you have fresh produce and it's put in a plastic bag. It's like, ooh. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. And Nancy, do you want to go next?
Thanks, Patrice. I'm a Nancy Lee Bentley. I'm a holistic nourishment expert and speaker, author, mentor, and healthy private chef. And I am really all about how we can be healthier for ourselves and the planet, because guess what? It's all connected. This is just like, it keeps coming up again and again. Everything is connected. And so what we do to our bodies and what we do to the earth, it's a circle, no matter right. So I would say, well, and what I'm doing is I have that moniker of that gutsy lady because I am not afraid to call it like it is. And that's what I'm doing on podcasts and speaking engagements and working with people directly with VIP consultations to give them a loaded and help to restart and reset their eating and their whole health patterns. So, this issue of microplastics, it's just another indicator that everything is connected, and we can see if the microplastics are getting into the water in remote places, that's like a lot of other chemicals. They're not the only ones, but there's a lot of other chemicals, PFAs and other chemicals that are staying in the environment. This is not something that we can just get rid of. There's these huge garbage piles in the ocean, but the point is, what can we do to avoid them and to not add more to that? So Patrice is right, and we all know that eating whole foods, especially if you can get them locally, organic whole foods, you're not using all of that plastic to house them. You're often bringing your own bags and using containers that are not with all that plastic. So I think that's a real important thing, is let's try to improve the food and the packaging that we are using as well, and bringing our own. So So who else do we have here? Cindy.
Okay. Well, the way that I have pivoted over the years was from being the pain specialist to now I realized people didn't know how to feed themselves. And if you don't eat well and you don't know what's for dinner and you're like, I'm going to get some takeout. I just recently met someone who got pizza every night for 3 weeks because she was working overtime. Now, I think pizza maybe once in if it's a really good pizza, that maybe that would be helpful, but every single night, and then her kids were just eating cereal otherwise. Um, I was like, "No. No wonder you're fatigued. No wonder you're inflamed. No wonder you're in pain." So, I actually ate a flower in front of her. And do you know what her first reaction was? "Ew!" Alright? I don't know why it's ooh, because these are spicy and they're fun, and look at this color.
Beautiful.
Wow. So, I created the 14-minute meal method simply because you can easily create, assemble, not waste food because you're always gonna go from the ingredients, you're not gonna go from a recipe, you're not gonna have to run to the store. Use what you have, and it's only 5 steps. Right? You can be the master of your own kitchen. You can be a leader, right? For your family and for your friends, and you can teach other people. So I said, I love to cook. I've been cooking since I was very young, and I know how to bake. I don't bake from recipes anymore because it's all in my head. And I know lots of different cuisines. And I want everyone to have one good, healthy meal that they can prepare in 14 minutes and spend an hour eating. Eat it slowly, eat with friends, calm down, share, and put your phone down. You don't have to have your phone at dinner. You really don't. So that's what I've been doing. Besides working on helping the Natural Health Collaborative experts get a bigger voice, really make an impact in the world. Because together we can promote each other, we can have support, but mostly, I know this has made me incredibly more accountable. And I think that's important. And I would like to hear from Mary.
Hi, everybody. I'm a cooking coach. I like to help people get started cooking or improve their cooking and enjoy their time in the kitchen. There are ways to get organized with the equipment, with your shopping routine, with your recipes, if you use recipes. And also, I encourage people to include the kids when they're cooking. Like when, if someone is busy and if mom can't make dinner, the kids can pitch in and make dinner. So it helps the kids to be independent and enjoy their food as well. So one thing that I'm working on is the first Sunday of each month to have a master class around cooking. And for the beginning of the session, it's only 1 hour. I provide some tips and ideas about how to enjoy cooking. And after that, we have a question and answer period. So that'll be the first Sunday of each month. And also, I encourage people to grow their own food if at all possible. If you grow flowers, you can grow food. Apparently, flowers are food. I have ordered some extra seeds. I found some beautiful calendula seeds to put in and some nasturtiums. So I'll be putting those into my garden this year. And I'll eat flowers on the screen with Cindy. And for the plastics issue, we use reusable water bottles. We don't buy the plastic water bottles, and we have some good quality metal bottles that we wash and reuse, because the water that comes out of our tap is often as good or better than what comes in a bottle anyway. And you know, when you go to special events and you see how much garbage is created because everybody's drinking out of these plastic bottles, it's just a horrendous amount of garbage. So I really encourage people to invest in a good water bottle and, you know, take it with you. And when they're insulated, they give you a good dose of cold water when you're out and about. So that's very refreshing. That's it.
Okay, so who has not spoken about plastic? I thought we could go through that at the end. I think, Cheryl, why don't you go?
I was actually on a call with some other practitioners talking about, blood tests and how a lot of things don't show up in a regular blood test, especially heavy metals and mercury that's in your brain. And another is the microplastics. I mean, hasn't really been a blood test for that to see how much, has been in our bloodstream. But this one person said that she has gone through a program that actually tested her for the microplastics and a solution for that, and that she was seeing results. So that's one thing that sparked my interest is those microplastics are everywhere. I mean, if they're in remote areas, they're, in our body, they're in our brain, and, in our food. I mean, it's just everywhere. So I'll try to keep you all up on what else I hear on that. But I'm all for detoxing, as you know, and we've got to keep as much out of our body as we can. Terry, would you like to go?
Sure. So Terry Roman, health coach with Terry Total Health. And as far as a personal story recently, I was on a spring break in Chicago, and we were in a hotel. And so I was thinking, you know what? I need to start talking about this. Like when you're traveling, I was amazed at, first of all, one thing that was good I noticed was they didn't have the little tiny samples of shampoo and soap in the bathroom. So I thought, great. They had big jugs of it in the shower, and you were just able to get um, the ingredients, out of there, the shampoo and the body wash, which was not bad. And I went down to breakfast. And at breakfast, to my surprise, everything was styrofoam. Everything. The plates, the cups, and then the forks and spoons, of course, were of plastic. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I should have brought a plate. I had brought my own cup, thankfully for my hot water. And I just didn't think about bringing a plate to a hotel. But I was like, next time, definitely, I'll be more conscious of that. And you might just want to bring your own silverware too, and having that with you as you travel. Because I didn't want all that. I saw all this styrofoam then being thrown away, and I knew that wasn't going to be recycled. So, anyway, this happens how many times? We don't think about that when we go on traveling. And so we can make a difference too when we're traveling. just to bring those things along with and just be conscientious of that, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents for today on that.
Oh, that's inspiring. So I had a very odd upbringing in the fact that I had a lot of older women in my life, and they didn't throw things away. They repaired things, right? They darned socks. I learned how to darn socks when I was very young. I learned how to cook, how to preserve vegetables. Everything that came out of the garden, it was used. They made their own remedies, home remedies to take care of them, and they were healthy in their 90s, right? They ate the food that they grew, and they would save every seed. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but these are from pepper plants. Pepper plants are very easy to see have the seeds. And what's important is the seeds, right? They dry very easily. Now there are certain plants that are easier to take from seeds than others. But what I want you to realize is you can grow anywhere. You can grow in a closet. Yes, I grow mushrooms in a closet, and they do quite well. So you can grow under lights, you can sprout things. But the most important thing for you to take away, I think, from Earth Day is there is no away. People say, well, I throw something out, it goes away. No, it doesn't. It stays persistently in the environment. And well, we can incinerate things. Well, what goes up? Right? A lot of toxins and things like that. There are parts of the world that are practically uninhabitable because of other people's waste. And I also want you to realize there is a wonderful thing if you can create something, right? If you can reuse something. That's what our ancestors always did. They didn't go out and, buy the new dress for this week. So we have millions, maybe 1 billion pounds of clothes that are sent to other parts of the world. And the rest of the world doesn't need any more clothes. So I just want us to say, like everyone has already mentioned, we make an impact and our choices make an impact. But I also want to say that our ancestors were incredibly, incredibly creative. Creative, not just with online games or this or that, with our hands, right? I grew corn so that I could make dolls, right? It was fun. It was exciting. And we can do that with everything. We can say, what are we going to use this for? And if we can answer that question, and we can answer that question with our children and grandchildren, that's going to be really empowering. And we're going to feel totally different about ourselves. And when we feel different and empowered in ourselves, then we're going to look differently on the rest of the biosphere which we're connected to.